The COVID-19 pandemic that came sometime late 2019 and was very severe in parts of the world in 2020 caused a lot of death, businesses stalled, shops locked because of the lockdown, and many people lost their jobs. Some actually had their jobs, but they could not come because of social distancing. So Zoom meetings became very necessary. So they were operating from home. You do remember, right? Entertainers were trying to upload songs via Zoom and social media and became stronger then, doing online concerts and stuff because social distance. A man by the name John Amos already had 3 children, an average man working, but because of the COVID-19 and the lockdowns, social distancing, people have to stay afar from each other. You stay at home and practice social distancing, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water, then sanitize it. You remember all of them, right? John Amos was affected badly and he was fired. His service wasn't needed anymore by his office. It wasn't about him operating from home via Zoom. Nope. He was relieved. It affected his finances. It took like a year before the lockdowns and the COVID-19, people were allowed in his area to now integrate, still observing the social distancing thing. But it affected John Amos so much that the 3 children he already had and his wife got pregnant in the period of the lockdowns and staying at home. A lot of families had time to bond and excessive time. Families who in the morning they wake up, kids have gone to school, father has gone to work, the mom could be at home or she's also a career woman. It became very difficult for people to go out. So families and couples were always together. And what do you think happens? Sex. So John Amos got his wife pregnant in the process of the staying at home for almost a year because of COVID-19. And it wasn't what they planned. The 4th child was on the way. After the lockdowns, already it was almost 9 months, and they regained, everybody integrated to the society. He has no job, no steady income coming. They've exhausted all the money because of COVID-19 that they saved, and now he's broke. So he started applying for jobs and waiting for interviews. So one of the places that John Amos applied for a job actually reached out to him via email and had an appointment on a particular day for 10 a.m. Now, while he was preparing, the wife's water broke that morning around 8 a.m. And he's the only one to take his wife to the hospital. So he's left between getting a good job, going for the interview at 10 a.m. or taking his wife to the hospital between this time past 8 before 10. How can he do it? So he had to take and make a decision of his life. Around 9 a.m. when he was ready to go for the interview by 10 a.m. He now thought it wise to take his wife. After packing everything, gathering, boom, boom. He now hired a vehicle, booked an Uber to take the wife to their hospital. On the way going, the car broke down. Oops, he now had to hire another vehicle and rebooked for another. The delay now cost him the time to have taken the wife before 10 and rush. So past almost 10 o'clock, he arrived at the hospital finally, checked her in, already called the doctor, made sure that she is in good hands and taken care of. Then he now booked another ride to go for this interview. There was traffic, and he got to that interview place almost 12 p.m. 2 hours behind the scheduled 10 a.m. So he got there, pressed on the doorbell, and it took a while, almost 30 minutes before the door was open. He saw a lady in the office, the secretary to the boss of that office. Notice that the interview was meant for 10, but now it's already past 12 because he had to save the wife's life and the baby. So he now said, "Oh, good morning, please. I'm very sorry." Before he could even say a word, the lady said, "No, apologies, we're sorry. Please come inside, have a seat, sit down." And she went into the main office. A few minutes later, about 5 minutes, they called him up. John Amos came and sat down. The boss, the CEO, the secretary, and other staff were there. Before he just greeted. Before he could say a word, they said no. The boss said, "No, sorry. We apologize. Please. You see, we had time over 2 hours to review all the papers, and we found your CV, we found yours as the one we like. And because of that, yes, almost 10 o'clock, we had you press the doorbell, but we were busy and we wanted to test your patience so that you will wait and let's know if you can wait. And for 2 hours, you've been waiting until you press the doorbell again. So that is one of the interviews." He said, "No, but I've not been interviewed. How did?" He said, "Yes." And meanwhile, it was a male man, the deliver mail, that was buzzing on the door earlier. Notice that John Amos by then was still at the hospital to admit his wife that water broke. They didn't let him say a word. They thought he was the one. The office people thought he was the one who pressed on the bell. Meanwhile, it was someone else earlier, 2 hours ago. So he was dumbfounded. He needs the job. So he just allowed them to talk. And they gave him the job, a good salary, his own personal assistant, official car, and an official residence. And he will start the job immediately. He became so excited and thanked them, but didn't want to tell them that he was not the same person who pressed on the bell earlier, like 2 hours ago, because at that time he was admitting his wife in the hospital. Immediately after the interview and handshake and all of the pleasantries, his phone rang and it was the wife. "Honey, I've given birth to a beautiful girl." Whoa, 2 miracles in space of 2 hours. So John Amos went back to his wife in the hospital and called the daughter Miracle, because that day was a miraculous day for him. Now, guys, what do you learn from this? I would like to know from you. John Amos is a Christian. Now he has kept quiet and did not tell these people in the office that I am not the one who pressed and pushed on the doorbell earlier 2 hours ago. It's not me. He did not tell them. He kept quiet because this job is an envious type of job. It's a job that people envy. It is a good job with good pay, with good car, official house, and your personal assistant. What would you have done, guys, if you were in his shoes? As a Christian, shouldn't he say the truth? Should have said, "Hey, I'm not the one." If he said that, he could have lost the job. Guys, what would you say? If you were in his shoes, what would you do? I'd like to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in John Amos' shoes? Would you open your mouth and say the truth? Would you have just let it slide like he did? Don't say a word about it, and the job is yours. Let me know from you at the comment section. What would you have done if you were in John Amos's shoes? As a Christian, did he not tell a lie by just keeping quiet and allow the office to assume that he was the one who came earlier? Meanwhile, he wasn't the one, he came late. What would you have done? What does this teach us? A moral lesson. You may be struggling with something. You may be struggling and struggling. Just keep being you. You don't have to kill somebody. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to be depressed. Keep doing you. And that consistency, that dogged tenacity will give you double of your blessings. A child, safe delivery, and a very sweet, good paying job. But guys, what do you say? Please subscribe to my channel, Charles the Talker, and get more updates. Support a brother. Let me grow. So, what do you say on the comment section? Did he tell a lie? Is it sin that he didn't say a word and kept quiet? Meanwhile, he's not the one who knocked earlier. What would you say? Let's meet in the comment section.